Coming into this past season, not many would have predicted that the New York Knicks would be the ones holding the Larry O'Brien trophy at the end of the finals, and rightfully so. I mean, how many people picked against the Thunder, who looked like juggernauts through the first 3 months of the season? Or the Spurs, who catapulted into title contention with instant impact youth? Or how about the Nuggets, who made minor yet impactful moves to their already championship-level core and won 15 of their last 17 games getting into the playoffs? I would be at maybe 5 or 6 teams who I could have seen as title favorites coming into the season before the Knicks. Yet New York's team not only got over the mountain, but they did so in dominant fashion. Again, when you think of the NBA's most dominant teams, you think of Shaq and Kobe's Lakers, Curry and KD's Warriors, Dr. J and Moses' Sixers. Each of these teams featured 2 of the 30 best players to ever play the sport. The Knicks had Jalen Brunson, a supposed 6'2" guard who looked 6 foot even on a good day. Karl Anthony Towns, a talented player whose playoff ability has always been put into question since his Minnesota days. OG Anunoby, a high-end defensive wing talent whose offensive ability and overall availability was inconsistent, and a solid group of role players who, by the way, were considered depleted following the shock retirement of Malcolm Brogdon just weeks before the regular season. On paper and based on projections, this team shouldn't have won a title, but their future success was right in our faces all along. You see, the NBA has followed a formula in recent years that almost always succeeds. The homegrown developed superstar that sets up the offense, the scrutinized secondary star who can take over and change the outcome of a game, the defensive wizard whose offensive production takes a leap when the team needs it most, and a cast of role players who can stretch the floor and defend at a high level. It's almost scary how each of the last 4 champions have followed this formula almost to a T, yet for some reason, most didn't see the Knicks' success coming. I theorize that the reason why we didn't see this success coming, and maybe the biggest difference between the Knicks and these past champions, is how the players that make up their teams ended up on roster. The Nuggets struck gold when they drafted Jokic with the 41st overall pick in 2014. They added supporting pieces in Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. through subsequent drafts, and they found their missing piece in Aaron Gordon through a buy low trade with the Magic. The Celtics struck gold with Jalen Brown and Jason Tatum in 2016 and 2017, trusting the process of their inevitable rise to stardom and building a team around them that fit their needs, with buy low trades of Derek White and Kristaps Porzingis, as well as a hefty yet rewarding Drew Holiday trade. The Thunder struck gold when the Clippers didn't realize they had a future 2-time MVP on their roster. Their trust in Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and their patience with his rise to stardom allowed for them to build the perfect team around him in the draft with Chet Holmgren and Jalen Williams in 2022, as well as well-timed signings like Isaiah Hartenstein and the pivotal Alex Caruso trade. Each of these teams had patience in their star player and developed them from the struggles of youth to the success of champions. The Knicks, though, did this story completely differently. Jalen Brunson was already established with the Mavericks. In 2022, his performance against the Jazz without Luka Doncic was extraordinary. In hindsight, it's ridiculous that a team with a clear hole for guard play next to Luka wouldn't offer someone who just averaged 21 points per game in an increased role against the best teams in the Western Conference. But then again, I guess we don't know the Mavericks for making the best front office decisions. Even still, Brunson being available at that time was just a miracle for the Knicks, who already staffed Brunson's father as an assistant coach and his godfather as team president. The Knicks didn't fully develop Brunson into what he is now. They gave him the keys because they had the confidence in his ability to lead a top-tier offense. And even through the struggles of 2024's loss to Indiana, or chatter around the league that Brunson was not tall enough to be the best guy on a title team, they continued to build around him and build an organizational confidence in his ability. Again, unlike previous title winners, it wasn't the Knicks who necessarily developed his skills. They just recognized the opportunity that Brunson presented them and gave him unwavering trust. Previous champions also featured scrutinized and sometimes inconsistent secondary stars, whose ability was questioned by the media, but whose impact was irreplaceable for their team. In 2023, the Nuggets desperately needed a secondary option to take the pressure off Jokic. Jamal Murray was supposed to be just that, but an unfortunate ACL injury kept him out of the postseason for 2 years in a row. Murray's return to postseason action in 2023 saw him explode for 8 30-plus point performances, including a now iconic 34-point triple-double in Game 3 of the NBA Finals. Jalen Brown was criticized for having no left hand or quote-unquote offensive bag. He responded by taking both Eastern Conference Finals and Finals MVP in a monster 2024 playoff run. J-Dub was, and even still is, criticized for his style of play and lack of availability. Still, he put up a monster 40-point performance in last year's finals, and adds much-needed wing versatility to a team that will almost certainly be a perennial contender. The difference between past champions and this Knicks team, again, is how the Knicks got this player. It wasn't through the draft lottery, it was through a buy low trade, where they gave up Julius Randle and Dante DiVincenzo for Karl Anthony Towns, an all-NBA caliber center whose previous playoff performances were, to put it kindly, underwhelming. Still, KAT is a great player whose offensive versatility brought the Timberwolves to heights they hadn't seen in 20 years. But with all the good, you have to take the bad as well. And at times, KAT was underwhelming on defense and couldn't stay out of foul trouble, a trait that especially exposes itself in the playoffs. But when you look at KAT's most recent playoff run, the positives far outshine the negatives, and his scoring prowess and ability to take the pressure off Brunson, especially early in the finals, was pivotal for the Knicks to build momentum in a close series. This, along with stout defense against quality centers, most notably Victor Wembanyama in the first two finals games, where he held the Frenchman to a ridiculous 36.8% field goal percentage when he guarded him, proved that KAT's game can elevate when it is needed most. KAT was another player almost completely disregarded by fans and media alike. Nobody thought he could be one of the top guys on a finals team, but again, the confidence to lean on KAT in moments where Brunson couldn't get it going was ultimately the reason why the Knicks won the finals. Another crucial part of the Knicks' formula was OG Anunoby, the ultimate glue that stepped up when New York needed him most. You look at other championship teams and their glue guys, from Aaron Gordon to Derek White and Drew Holiday to Alex Caruso, and you see the common theme of a player who has the ability to take a solid contender and make them a championship favorite. Maybe the best case of the glue guy connecting each player on the floor is OG Anunoby, whose rise as the best perimeter defender in the NBA and a truly reliable option on offense has easily cemented him as one of the best 25 players in the NBA today. This all goes without mentioning the role players that stepped up when the Knicks needed them most. Mikal Bridges has certainly been the talk of the town following a trade where the Knicks coughed up 6 first-round picks for his services, which for most of his Knicks tenure has been slightly underwhelming, considering his large contract and, of course, the 6 first-round picks New York gave up for him. But his impact was certainly felt during the course of the championship run. Josh Hart was another piece the Knicks traded future draft capital for, though this trade in hindsight was completely lopsided in favor of New York, considering his great all-around style of play. Bench players like Mitchell Robinson, Deuce McBride, even guys like Jordan Clarkson, and the last player to make the roster, Landry Shamet, really contributed key moments during this playoff run and provided momentum swings that helped guide them to a finals victory. It's fun to look back just a couple of years ago and look at how different this Knicks roster looked. Some fans were disappointed with the play of secondary stars like Julius Randle, unhappy when the franchise traded RJ Barrett, Emmanuel Quickley, and Dante DiVincenzo, and were disappointed with the firing of head coach Tom Thibodeau, who brought the Knicks from obscurity to consistent playoff results. But it was these tough decisions that brought New York's team back to the promised land. It was through trusting their players and not walking back on roster decisions that brought on a lot of questions from the media and fans alike. It was from going all in on the players that the Knicks front office knew would be a part of a broader formula, and the players that bought into one another and for the greater goal of winning New York a championship. But let's take this angle one step further, maybe to widen our understanding of what this title should mean in the broader landscape of the NBA. It's impressive what the Knicks did to win this title, but my question is, what's stopping a team on the doorstep of winning a title from making roster moves like the Knicks have for the past 5 years, which, by the way, is essentially just buying low on core building blocks and selling high on pieces you know aren't going to be a part of your long-term future? It's of course easier said than done, and it takes a little bit of luck to find incompetent front offices who are willing to get rid of quality players. But there's certainly teams in the NBA with the pieces to make status-changing trades that are just straight up botching their roster moves. One team that sticks out like a sore thumb with this criteria is the Cleveland Cavaliers. Like the Knicks, the Cavs had top draft picks that showed a lot of potential, just not with the current configuration of their core. And honestly, I liked that the Cavs took a swing and traded away Darius Garland at the trade deadline. Despite, when healthy, being a top-end point guard in the NBA, Garland's health issues and lack of playoff success in 7 years on roster was more than enough for Cleveland to explore different options. but instead of using Garland's favorable age and, when healthy, all-star level play, they somehow lowballed themselves into taking a deal for James Harden, who is fine, but as we've seen for nearly 2 decades now, is not the piece to trust when building a championship contender. Now they're stuck with 36-year-old Harden, who only contributes to winning basketball when the ball is in his hands, and the Cavs have to find a way to continue maximizing a top 12 player in the NBA in Donovan Mitchell and an intriguing young piece in Evan Mobley, all while balancing the happiness of a player who's been on 4 different teams in 5 years. Another team in this similar close but not close enough situation is the Minnesota Timberwolves, whose past 2 seasons have been disappointing, with a 49-33 record and a 6th seed in each season, yet 3 playoff series wins in 2 years, and the continued emergence of Anthony Edwards as a superstar. Ironically, the Timberwolves are the same team who gave up on KAT to get Julius Randle and Dante DiVincenzo, only now, just 2 years later, to be reportedly shopping that same package and draft capital to secure a second superstar next to Anthony Edwards. And while the lack of secondary scoring next to Edwards would be concerning without these 2 players, what we've learned through the Ayo Dosunmu trade is that putting these versatile guard/wing hybrids next to Edwards is the key to the Timberwolves' success. Give Ant-Man the ability to create his own gravity downhill and in isolation attempts, and surround him with players who can shoot and move off the ball. Maybe one of the last guys I would want to surround a player like Anthony Edwards with is Julius Randle, who just isn't a good shooter and requires a lot of time and space to score. Again, making these winning moves are easier said than done, but there shouldn't be anything in these teams' minds that makes them chase the superstar over the winning player. We've seen that formula fail time and time again. Build your confidence around your star players, and fill the gaps with glue guys who can fit in on both ends of the court with or without the ball. The Knicks' success this season shouldn't be seen as an anomaly. It should be seen as the formula to taking a franchise in the right position to an NBA title.